Now, the Secretary General and leader of the United Democratic Party, Darboe, has changed his earlier support to President Barrow for him to remain in power for 5 years. While he was Foreign Affairs Minister and later as Vice President of the Barrow government, Mr. Darboe was quoted as saying that he would sue anyone to court who advocates that Mr. Barrow will step down after 3 years as agreed by coalition leaders before the 2016 presidential elections. Darboe and his political party now believes that President Barrow should respect and leave office after 3 years mandate, as it was a political promise which might have influenced Gambians to vote in the way they voted in 2016 election. Let's listen to him in this insert.
The United Democratic Party, after, as I've said, several meetings, have come to the conclusion that the Coalition 2016 agreement should be complied with because it was a condition of the coalition agreement. If it did not, if it was not part of the agreement, there would have been no coalition. The UDP urges all the parties to the coalition agreement, and particularly the principal beneficiary of the coalition agreement, that is His Excellency President Barrow, to be faithful to what was agreed to by all the parties, including President Barrow, and also for President Barrow to fulfill his promises to the electorate that if he's elected president, he'll serve for a term of 3 years, step down, supervise elections, and hand over the office of the presidency to whoever is elected at that elections. I believe that this promise to the government electorate was sacrosanct, independently of the agreement, because these election promises really might have motivated or influenced the Gambians to vote in the way they did vote.
Well, that was the United Democratic Party leader Darboe earlier at a news conference. While joining me in the story is Esa Damfa, the media officer of the Coalition 2016 for West Coast Region and political aide of His Excellency the President. Mr. Damfa, thank you for joining us in our studio to buttress on what is actually making headlines in the country. Now, first, I want to know, your godfather has asserted that the President should step down. How do you receive this?
Thank you very much. This is very interesting to see Mr. Darboe swallow his own words, as you alluded to earlier, but not surprising enough because that shows the dynamic nature of politics. But first and foremost, the decision, I think, is centered on personal and partisan interests, nothing about the national interests. That's an empirical evidence to show that Mr. Darboe and his party, they are not up to the task of supporting, seeing the Gambia, but seeing the party and the person's personal interest. Why I said that? Because it could have been better for him to outline some of the challenges and the setbacks or some of the underperforming nature of the current dispensation. So if you just buttress on that and say, okay, we don't want to align ourselves with a government that is underperforming, and you outline sectors that are not doing well under the new dispensation, maybe that will show the citizens of this country that this party and the leadership have the Gambia at heart.
So what you're trying to say?
What are they buttressing here? Is the president should step down in conformity and also to align themselves to respect the coalition MOU of 2016. And this, the same people, the same party, the same leader, he's the one who rebooted all the coalition agreements.
So just to talk about him being the same person that made these statements a while ago, are you surprised that he actually made these statements?
Yeah, because I really don't, it was not a big surprise to me, but it could be a surprise to many people. But for me, in passing, I never
but on your end,
I know,
on
my end,
Barrow admin,
I never got me a surprise. Why? Because I know the man is more of following his interests and his party interests than anything else. Simply because when they were in the system, everything was good for them. They supported the 5 years mandate. And he was challenging everybody, including the coalition partners, to take them to court.
Okay, but
even the president himself.
Thank you. But why must the president insist on sitting for 5 years?
Yeah, he's have a very good explanations. One, even before the constitutional bargain itself, there's a set of parties like 7 and 1 independents who comprisingly unanimously agreed on terms and conditions, though it was not signed. Now, when the election was over and the dust was calm, they're supposed to come back and sign everything. Where did another dust started? They started scattering. Party like UDP and others, they say no to 5 years. Many party leaders, many signatories to that coalition, they were saying, okay, we're gonna move to 5 years, as the constitution alluded to. So now the president is sitting and waiting for them. When the president saw that there's a vast majority of the coalition who are buying the idea of going for 5 years, in conformity with the constitution.
But just specifically,
and now,
Esther, just specifically,
coalition also give a mandate to the president to work on. So those mandates are in halfway. So coalition aligned themselves with the president to go for 5 years in order to complete those mandates and order to align themselves with the constitutional dictates.
Thank you. So, is the Barrow administration willing to form any or organize and or initiate any form of reconciliation with those people calling for the 3 years?
Anyway, really, it will be surprising for a president of the republic to have a dialogue or to call a faceless people for a discussion. Faceless in a manner. You don't have their secretariat. Do you ever see their secretariat? What is their office location? What is their address? Now, if the president is supposed to convey any communique or to arrange any dialogue or any discussion, who is going to face? Who do you think?
Okay, so if in case the president...
Individual, America, I'm this, you cannot just form anything that will warrant the president to, engage you people. How can he engage? It should be a well-organized and responsible entity that can be recognized by the law, because they should register.
Okay, so in a situation where where a referendum was to take place for people to actually decide whether for the president to step down after 3 years or extend his mandate to 5 years, would the president have let go of his constitutional mandate and focus on actually what the majority of the population, the opinion of the majority of the population?
The referendum always comes in conformity with the laws. Like, for example, if the law says president should serve only 10 years, after 10 years, you're not going to contest anymore. Now, if you serve your 10 years, you want to continue. There's a clause in the constitution. Now, you want to challenge that clause. And the constitution has already been endorsed by the referendum, majority of people. Now, you have to organize another referendum to challenge that decision. The decision should come from the people, not from you or the ministers or the National Assembly members. The decision to extend your mandate beyond constitutional limit, that decision should come from people themselves. But now, Gambia Constitution 1997, it makes it crystal clear that the president should serve for 5 years. And the president is yet to reach to that climate. And now, what kind of situation will warrant him to organize any referendum? What will be the rationale behind that?
Thank you very much, Esa. Thank you very much for joining us, rather. We really do appreciate your time spent. Well, that was Esa Damfa, the media officer of the Coalition 2016 for West Coast Region and political aid to the president.